Chris here from the Mountaintop Joiner Shop here. I'm here to talk about the project I'm working on now, which I've been at since last, February, I believe. So I'm going on about 10 months now. And this is the base for it, which is almost entirely complete, and I'm building the top for it now. It is a Bargueño desk, a Spanish Renaissance furniture form that is basically a chest on a stand with a fall front on it that converts into a desk. And the base of a Bargueño desk, as you can see, is a trestle base. It basically has multiple legs. I have 3 legs on each side with a kind of a trestle in between them. It's basically got rails and stiles for extra stiffness and of course a decorative effect. And then it sits on 2 sled feet. And in this case, the sled feet I have kind of with a nice curve to them to jive with the different legs that lean out at different angles. The outer 4 legs mount to the sides of the case and splay out, I believe, at about 6 degrees, if I recall correctly. The inner legs actually mount up to the bottom of the case, so they're inside of the outer legs, and these ones splay at about 3 degrees. And you'll notice underneath here I have this. This is actually steel under here, and there's a carriage system underneath this. More on what this linkage is for in a minute, but I'll show you what's going on with the case. So these are handcuff dovetails all the way around, and I have my supports for the full front right here. Now typically with a Bargueño desk of the Renaissance era, these supports would actually be really narrow, and their sole purpose is to support the top. But knowing I was going to be putting a drawer into my Bargueño base, my Pita Puente, I decided to make this a drawer as well. But of course, when the fall front is down, you won't be able to get into any of this. So this is kind of just spillover storage. When I'm actually using the desk, I won't be going in and out of here. These I wouldn't be getting into the top of either if you're supporting the top. So what I ended up doing was actually making the drawer a sideways drawer, and they have a pivot out holder here on both sides that holds things like I could put my cell phone in that side, and on this side I have a little dovetail cup holder with like a leather coaster integrated into it. And then of course these drawers will support the top, and they do so via these strips here that are actually English bridal leather. So they look like they're just like a, like a molding or something, but this is actually leather, and I actually have these set higher than the top of this drawer. So this drawer won't actually interfere with the top when it's down. And then as far as the drawers go, let me pull this one out. These outer ones have stops on them, so they can't come all the way out. They come out a set distance in order to support the top. These drawers here, these are all, again, hand-cut dovetails. Because it's such a large drawer area, I actually use really thick plywood for the bottom, so I'm using like 12 mil plywood for this. And it's veneered on both sides with a Mate bark paper, which I oversaturated with hide glue, so it's a little bit funky in there, but that's all right. It's the inside of a drawer, no biggie. And inside there I have drawer slips, which is my favorite way to support a drawer bottom. When you use drawer slips like this and glue them in, you don't have to worry about working around those drawer grooves when you go and dovetail the drawer. So you can see that I actually don't have a removable drawer bottom here because I overbuilt it so much. I'm not really worried about that. But in order to stop it from collecting air behind the drawer when you're trying to close it and preventing it from closing smoothly, I put a cutout in the top of the drawer there to let the air pass through, because once there's a back on this, it's going to trap air behind the drawer and prevent it from closing very smooth. And then for the drawer pull, I have a little recess here, a circular recess that's backed with more English bridal leather. These horseshoe arches are actually English bridal leather, and in bright light you can actually see the kind of dark chocolatey brown of the leather itself, edged in black archival ink. So that's a really nice look once you get it in bright light. So yeah, I use the same leather for the end of this recess, and then I have one of my hand-shaped ebonized walnut poles here with a copper pole on it. And I'll bring the case over here next, and then I'll talk about that, the door, and what attaches to this linkage after that. So this is going to be the upper case for the Bargueño desk, and you can see I already got the case glued up. It's all hand-cut miter corner dovetails. I still have to clean up the face of this yet, and I've already started to put some dividers in here. I got my dados all cut in there and my hinge mortises all cut. By the way, I did a YouTube video about how I cut these hinge mortises. So if you're curious about that, I'll leave a link in the description about it. And this is going to be the desk gallery. And one thing I've always wanted to do as a woodworker was do a desk gallery, but I don't really do period furniture per se. Obviously, there's a heavy influence of period furniture in this, but again, it's going to be more of my contemporary take on a classic furniture form. But with all the little cubbies and drawers and doors and things like that, I can't think of anything more fun than building a desk gallery. So I'm just getting started on that, and I'm pretty excited about it. You'll notice that there's a huge dado cut on the outside of the case at the top here. I have big plans for that I will reveal when the time is right. And I also have the door almost completed for it. I'll walk over here and grab it. This is going to be the door, and it's going to be an inset door, so I'm just going to rest it on the bench top. So eventually the door will actually sit up, and there'll be a gap underneath here, so it'll almost have the look of like a floating door. But this will be the fall front eventually, and this is of course the outside of it. I have a frame and panel door with some styling to the rails and stiles, veneered with Amante bark paper. At this time I used a lighter color Amante bark paper than I used on my tool cabinet. And in the center I have a copper medallion that I did basically some chasing on and texturing with metalworking tools. Cut it out with a jeweler's saw and mounted it dead center with these hand-shaped sapele brackets here, and they're screwed in place. So I can actually remove this medallion in the future if I decide that I don't like it and want to do it or redo it, or it gets damaged or whatever. But that's where that's going. I actually have a strip of sapele all the way around the outside of the door for a little bit extra contrast. And on the inside is going to be the work surface. And you'll notice that the work surface is actually pretty ornate, and of course the desk gallery itself is going to be even more ornate. That is of tradition. Typically a Bargueño desk is not as fancy on the outside as it is on the inside. Usually on the inside, whoever made it just goes nuts and makes it super fancy. So the working surface is all shop cut veneers of quarter sawn sapele. I have some curly, super curly ambrosia maple here with some regular maple stringing in between all of it. And then in the corners I have some little decorative copper plugs that are infilled with sapele. And so that's going to be my work surface once the full front comes down. So for the gallery of this desk, as always, one of my biggest influences is Carlo Bugatti, who is a turn of the 20th century furniture designer and maker whose stuff is just pure fantasy. It draws stuff from all these different cultures and somehow integrates it all seamlessly in a way that looks almost otherworldly. So I really am inspired by him when it comes to doing more ornate furniture like this. A desk gallery, particularly in the tradition of a Bargueño desk, is very ornate. So I'm really looking forward to doing that part of it. But there's other influences that are kind of driving my design decisions on this. Among them are the Runkins. So I believe it's spelled Roentgen, the Runkins. We're actually a cabinet-making family. If you get a chance, do an internet search on that and check out their mechanical furniture. They did stuff for, various kings and princes or whatever that, you push a little capital in here and a drawer would pop out over there, and or if you, pull a little lever someplace that's hidden, all these drawers just like come flying out of the thing. So they did a lot of furniture that has like these mechanical contrivances in it, and I'm following suit with that with some of the things I'm doing with this desk. So looking forward to getting into that and getting it all figured out. And of course, if it works out, I'm looking forward to showing it off too and using it. So I mentioned that linkage that hangs from the bottom of the case earlier. That linkage is actually going to be attaching to this. So this is a draw out kind of work seat that is integrated into the front of the Bargueño desk. When it's pushed all the way in, it's only kind of made up flush with the facade of the entire piece. And then when I draw it out, it's going to be drawn out on these drawer slides. These are 200-pound rated full extension drawer slides. And the end of these drawer slides is going to attach to the linkage. So I'll be able to pull this seat out as far as I need in order to sit at the fall front desk. And you'll notice that the shape of it is basically triangular. That was inspired in part by my drum throne. I've been a drummer for my entire life, and I play the drum kit on a regular basis. And I noticed that my drum throne is like really comfortable to sit at, and that it encourages me to assume a natural kind of good posture. So I thought, why not integrate that into the seat for the Bargueño desk and have it such that I can shove it all the way in flush to the front of the desk. I've actually tested this. It actually does work. I'm super excited about that because there was a time when I thought it might not work and I'd have to do something else. So that's coming together, and I just need to make a few tweaks to kind of make things operate a little bit smoother, and it'll be good to go. It has an upholstered seat, which I've already upholstered, and of course that seat is removable, so I can redo it if I ever decide I need to do that. If it gets damaged, or there could be any number of reasons for doing that. But the whole thing sits on some bridal leather pads, which I have lots of bridal leather around in terms of like little pieces like that. So that's what I use for the bottom of these. And when it's all the way in, this part here is going to actually fit underneath the center drawer of the base. And there will be some decorative stuff going on here as well. So that is the state of the design and build of my Bargueño desk as it stands at this moment. And of course, I'll be posting updates subsequently about how things are going along as I get closer to the end of the project. I'm super excited, especially to dive into that desk gallery. I also post about this on Instagram. So if you enjoy seeing kind of footage of how the sausage gets made, so to speak, that is a good place to do it. So look for Mountaintop Joiner Shop on Instagram if you want to see some more of the nitty-gritty details. But yeah, this is a speculative piece, which is a nice way of saying that I'm losing my butt on it financially because I don't have a customer for it. But the flip side of that is that as a creative pursuit for somebody who really prides themselves on their design as much as anything else, I can do whatever I want with this, and so I can use whatever creative ideas come to me, and that to me is an adventure that it just makes all of this worthwhile. And it's been a project that I've honestly been mulling about in my head for many years now. This is one of those bucket list type of projects. So I hope you get as much out of seeing it come together as I do, and we'll see more of you in the future, hopefully. Now, if you like what you saw here, please hit like and subscribe. It helped me out a lot. Also hit the little bell icon if you want to be notified anytime I release a new video. And if you didn't like what you saw here, keep it to yourself, pal. Or watch one of my other videos. You might like one of those. Thank you for watching.